Ancient symbols surround us, hiding in plain sight within our most cherished religious traditions. Today's Christmas trees, Easter eggs, and wedding rings carry whispers of rituals that echo through time, rituals that began long before Christianity itself. In the next few minutes, we'll peel back the layers of history to reveal 6 beloved Christian traditions that actually sprouted from pagan roots. But here's what makes this journey fascinating. These origins don't diminish their spiritual significance. Instead, they reveal something profound about how faith evolves and grows richer over time. As we explore these traditions together, you'll discover why our ancestors brought evergreen trees indoors during winter, why eggs became symbols of resurrection, and how ancient sun worshippers influenced the dates of our modern religious celebrations. These aren't just historical facts, they're keys to understanding the beautiful tapestry of human spirituality. What you learn today might surprise you, challenge some assumptions, and even deepen your appreciation for these timeless traditions. Because when we understand where our customs truly come from, we often find they carry even more meaning than we imagined. Stay with me as we uncover these hidden connections and explore how ancient wisdom flows through the heart of modern faith. Bringing an evergreen tree indoors might seem like a quintessentially Christian tradition, yet its roots reach deep into frost-covered forests where ancient Germanic tribes once gathered. Long before decorated spruces graced church halls, Norse people revered evergreen trees as powerful symbols of life persisting through winter's harshest months. During midwinter festivals, these pre-Christian communities would hang evergreen boughs over their doors and windows. Each needle-covered branch served as a reminder that beneath winter's icy grip, life continued to pulse and grow. Within their belief system, evergreens weren't just trees, they represented triumph over darkness and death itself. Most striking among these early customs was bringing entire trees inside homes during winter solstice celebrations. Branches were adorned with carved tokens, food offerings, and eventually candles, creating an ancient predecessor to our modern Christmas tree. Germanic tribes believed these decorated trees could ward off winter spirits and welcome benevolent forces into their dwellings. Similar symbolism emerged around wreaths, circular decorations that predated Christian use by centuries. In pre-Christian Europe, circular wreaths represented eternity and continuity, concepts that would later align perfectly with Christian teachings about eternal life. Pagans wore these wreaths as crowns during sacred ceremonies, particularly during winter festivals celebrating longer days ahead. When Christianity spread through Europe, rather than abolishing these deeply meaningful practices, early church leaders recognized their profound spiritual significance. They skillfully wove these traditions into Christian worship, transforming pagan symbols of renewal into representations of Christ's endless love and eternal life. Modern Christmas trees still carry echoes of this ancient wisdom. Each ornament we hang mirrors those early offerings, while strings of lights echo solstice candles that once pushed back winter's darkness. Wreaths continue telling their circular story of unending divine love, now wrapped in Christian meaning while retaining their connection to nature's cycles. This seamless blend of old and new demonstrates how spiritual traditions don't simply replace one another, they evolve, adding layers of meaning across generations. Today's Christmas trees and wreaths stand as living bridges between ancient wisdom and contemporary faith, enriching both through their enduring presence in our homes and hearts. Painted eggs and hopping rabbits seem curiously distant from stories of resurrection, yet these beloved Easter symbols trace their origins to ancient spring festivals celebrating nature's renewal. Deep within pre-Christian European traditions, eggs held sacred significance as perfect symbols of new life emerging from seemingly lifeless shells. Pagan spring celebrations centered around these powerful symbols of fertility and rebirth. Ancient Germanic peoples would paint eggs in bright colors mirroring spring flowers, believing these decorated eggs carried special powers of life-giving magic. They buried eggs in their fields, hoping to transfer this vital energy into their crops. These rituals reflected humanity's eternal fascination with life's mysterious cycles of death and rebirth. Most fascinating was how eggs became linked to spiritual practices across numerous pre-Christian cultures. In Persian traditions, eggs were painted and exchanged during spring equinox celebrations called Nowruz. Ancient Egyptians and Greeks placed eggs in tombs, viewing them as symbols of potential life after death. This widespread reverence for eggs as spiritual symbols transcended geographical boundaries and belief systems. Rabbits entered this spiritual landscape through similar pathways. As creatures known for their abundant fertility and mysterious nocturnal nature, hares were sacred to various pre-Christian goddesses associated with spring, renewal, and rebirth. Their ability to produce multiple offspring made them perfect symbols of life's triumph over winter's barrenness. When Christianity spread through Europe, these powerful symbols naturally merged with resurrection themes. Eggs transformed from pagan symbols of natural rebirth into representations of Christ's emergence from the tomb, life breaking free from death's confines. Their shells became metaphors for sealed tombs, their contents representing hidden divine mysteries. Similarly, spring hares evolved into Easter bunnies, now connected to themes of abundant divine grace rather than earthly fertility. This transformation preserved ancient wisdom while adding profound new spiritual dimensions. What began as celebrations of nature's cycles deepened into expressions of divine love and spiritual renewal. Today's chocolate eggs and Easter bunny decorations might seem far removed from their sacred origins, yet they continue carrying messages about life's victory over death, renewal, and hope's persistence through dark times, messages that resonate across centuries and belief systems. Precious metal circles adorning ring fingers symbolize eternal love in modern marriages, yet these powerful symbols originated in ancient Egyptian and Roman traditions long before Christian wedding ceremonies took shape. Within Egyptian hieroglyphs, circles represented eternity, no beginning, no end, just endless cycles of existence flowing through time. Most intriguing among early ring customs was ancient Egyptians' belief that a specific vein in fourth finger directly connected to heart. Romans later adopted this idea, calling it vena amoris, love's vein. This anatomical myth persisted through centuries, eventually influencing which finger would become traditional bearer of wedding bands across cultures. Wedding ceremonies themselves drew heavily from pre-Christian ritual elements. Ancient Roman marriages featured bride and groom joining right hands, dextrarum iunctio, while exchanging vows of fidelity. This handfast ritual survived Christianity's spread, evolving into modern ceremony traditions where couples join hands while exchanging rings and promises. Particularly fascinating was how pagan hand-fasting ceremonies influenced Christian marriage rites. Celtic and Norse traditions literally bound couples' hands together with cords or ribbons, symbolizing their lives becoming intertwined. These binding rituals emphasized marriage as both spiritual and physical union, concept that seamlessly transferred into Christian understanding of matrimony. Bridal veils, another seemingly timeless Christian tradition, originated in ancient Rome, where bright, flame-colored veils protected brides from evil spirits. White wedding dresses, now virtually universal in Western Christian ceremonies, only became common after Queen Victoria's trend-setting choice in 1840. Before then, brides simply wore their finest clothes, regardless of color. Sacred circles appear repeatedly throughout pre-Christian wedding customs worldwide. Ancient Norse couples exchanged rings during sword ceremonies, while Celtic lovers exchanged rings representing eternal spiritual bonds. When Christianity adopted ring exchanges, these ancient meanings merged with new spiritual symbolism, unending divine love flowing through human relationships. Modern Christian wedding ceremonies blend these ancient elements with profound spiritual truths about love's eternal nature. Each ring placed on waiting fingers echoes ancient Egyptian wisdom about eternity, while simultaneously expressing Christian understanding of divine love made manifest through human commitment. Together, old and new create ceremonies that honor both ancient wisdom and living faith. Sacred flames flickering in churches worldwide carry ancient memories of pre-Christian temple rituals, where fire and fragrant smoke served as bridges between earthly and divine realms. Deep within Mediterranean temples, priests tended eternal flames, while aromatic resins burned in bronze censers, creating atmospheres thick with spiritual significance. Most significant among these early practices was ancient Romans' use of perpetual flames in temples dedicated to Vesta, goddess of hearth and home. Vestal virgins maintained these sacred fires continuously, believing their extinction would herald disaster for Rome. Similar eternal flames burned in Egyptian temples, Greek sanctuaries, and Persian fire temples, each flame representing divine presence made visible. Incense played equally vital roles across pre-Christian worship traditions. Ancient Egyptians burned kiphi, complex blends of aromatic ingredients, during temple rituals. Greeks and Romans used frankincense and myrrh extensively in religious ceremonies, believing sweet-smelling smoke carried prayers heavenward. These fragrant offerings created multisensory worship experiences, engaging both body and spirit. Particularly fascinating was how early desert-dwelling peoples used smoke signals as communication tools with divine forces. Burning sacred herbs and resins created visible connections between earth and sky, physical representations of prayers rising toward heaven. This symbolism transcended cultural boundaries, appearing in traditions worldwide. When early Christian churches emerged, they naturally incorporated these powerful symbols into their worship practices. Candles transformed from representations of pagan deities into symbols of Christ as light of world. Incense evolved from offerings to various gods into representations of prayers ascending to one God, while also serving practical purposes in masking less pleasant odors in crowded churches. Modern church candles still embody this dual heritage, practical light sources infused with profound spiritual meaning. Each flame represents both ancient wisdom about divine presence and Christian truth about spiritual illumination. Incense continues, rising through church rafters, carrying centuries of human aspirations toward heaven while creating sacred spaces set apart from ordinary life. Together, candlelight and incense in Christian churches preserve essential truths about humanity's eternal quest to connect with divine presence, truths first glimpsed by ancient peoples and continuously renewed through living faith practices. Sacred figures venerated in local churches often mirror ancient patterns of devotion to regional deities and protective spirits. Within countless European villages, stories tell of pre-Christian gods and goddesses whose attributes mysteriously echo through tales of beloved patron saints. This cultural transformation reveals profound insights about how spiritual beliefs evolve and adapt across generations. Most fascinating among these transitions was how ancient Celtic goddess Brigid seamlessly merged with Saint Brigid of Kildare. Sacred wells once dedicated to Goddess Brigid became holy sites associated with Saint Brigid, while traditional healing rituals continued under new Christian context. Similar patterns emerged across Europe as local communities found ways to preserve ancestral wisdom while embracing new faith. Particularly intriguing were cases where saints inherited specific powers or responsibilities from predecessor deities. Ancient Germanic goddess Hold, associated with spinning and domestic arts, saw her attributes reflected in various female saints. Norse god Thor's connection to thunder found echoes in devotion to Saint Olaf, while Greek god Apollo's healing powers seemed mirrored in veneration of Saint Panteleimon. Regional festivals honoring local deities often transformed into saints' feast days, maintaining communal celebration patterns while redirecting devotion toward Christian figures. Ancient agricultural festivals became harvest celebrations associated with particular saints. Spring fertility rites evolved into celebrations of saints associated with planting and growth. Most remarkable was how this process preserved vital connections between communities and their sacred landscapes. Holy mountains, healing springs, and sacred groves retained their spiritual significance through association with saints rather than earlier deities. This allowed people to maintain deep bonds with their ancestral lands while expressing faith through new Christian framework. Modern devotion to saints continues carrying whispers of this ancient wisdom about humanity's need for divine intermediaries who feel close and accessible. Each local saint's shrine or chapel marks places where heaven and earth draw near, just as ancient sacred sites once did. Through this living tradition, communities maintain spiritual connections to their landscapes and ancestors while expressing Orthodox Christian faith. These patterns reveal something profound about human spirituality, how new faith can honor truth found in older traditions while transforming their meaning toward deeper spiritual understanding. Sacred dates marking Christian calendars often align mysteriously with ancient seasonal celebrations, revealing deep connections between faith and natural cycles. Midwinter feasts, spring fertility festivals, and harvest celebrations found new meaning through Christian observances while maintaining their connection to nature's rhythms. Most striking among these alignments is Christmas, positioned near winter solstice when ancient Europeans celebrated festivals like Yule and Saturnalia. The 25th of December was chosen partly because Roman sun worshippers marked this period as birth of unconquered sun, Dies Natalis Solis Invicti. As daylight began increasing again, pre-Christian peoples celebrated light's victory over darkness, creating perfect symbolism for celebrating Christ's birth. Spring equinox celebrations honoring renewal and rebirth transformed naturally into Easter observances. Ancient fertility festivals coincided with this season when dormant life burst forth again, dating Easter by first Sunday following first full moon after spring equinox preserved connections between lunar cycles, seasonal changes, and spiritual significance of resurrection. Particularly fascinating was how Celtic cross-quarter days evolved into Christian feast days. Ancient festival in bulk became St. Brigid's Day, while Lughnasadh transformed into Lammas Tide. These transitions maintained traditional times of community gathering while introducing new spiritual meanings. Seasonal wisdom accumulated over generations merged seamlessly with Christian theological insights. Harvest festivals present another compelling example of this pattern. Ancient celebrations thanking various deities for abundant crops became Christian harvest festivals expressing gratitude to one God. Traditional timing remained largely unchanged, preserving practical connections between agricultural cycles and spiritual observances. Modern Christian calendars still pulses with these ancient rhythms. Each major feast day marks not only spiritual truth, but also humanity's enduring connection to natural cycles. Christmas lights still push back winter's darkness, while Easter continues celebrating spring's renewal. Harvest festivals maintain age-old patterns of gratitude for Earth's abundance. This calendar inheritance reveals profound wisdom about how spiritual truth remains grounded in physical reality. By preserving traditional dates while transforming their meaning, Christianity maintained vital connections between heaven and earth, spirit and matter, eternal truths and seasonal cycles. Through this living calendar, ancient insights about nature's patterns continue enriching contemporary spiritual life. Throughout our journey uncovering these ancient origins, we've seen something remarkable, how spiritual truths flow like rivers through time, gathering wisdom as they travel. Our exploration of 6 cherished Christian traditions has revealed not just their pagan roots, but something far more profound about human spirituality. Ancient peoples, gazing at evergreen trees in winter's grip, recognized powerful symbols of life's persistence. When they brought these trees indoors and decorated them with lights, they weren't just creating pretty displays, they were expressing deep truths about hope surviving darkness. Those same truths shine through modern Christmas trees, now enriched with additional layers of Christian meaning about divine light entering our world. Similarly, when our ancestors painted eggs and celebrated spring's rabbits, they weren't simply marking seasonal changes. They recognized profound mysteries about life emerging from apparent death, mysteries that perfectly foreshadowed and later expressed Christian resurrection truths. These symbols gained power rather than lost it as they flowed through time, accumulating deeper meanings while maintaining their primal connection to nature's cycles. Wedding rings tell us something extraordinary about human wisdom across generations. That simple circle of metal carries messages about eternal love from ancient Egypt through Rome and into modern Christian ceremonies. Each culture added its own insights about commitment, divine love, and human bonds, creating something richer than any single tradition could express alone. In church candles and incense, we see how humanity's oldest insights about divine presence continue speaking through modern worship. Those flickering flames and rising smoke still create sacred spaces where heaven and earth draw near, just as they did in ancient temples. Rather than diminishing Christian practice, these ancient roots remind us how universal our need is for tangible connections to divine mystery. Our exploration of saints and local deities revealed something beautiful about how communities maintain spiritual connections to their landscapes and ancestors. When early Christians transformed local gods into patron saints, they preserved vital wisdom about how divine care often feels most real through figures who seem close and accessible. This pattern shows how new faith can honor truth found in older traditions while transforming their meaning toward deeper spiritual understanding. Perhaps most fascinating was discovering how Christian calendar dates align with ancient seasonal celebrations. These alignments remind us that spiritual truth remains grounded in physical reality, in solstices and equinoxes, planting and harvest, nature's deaths and rebirths. By preserving traditional dates while transforming their meaning, Christianity maintained vital connections between heaven and earth, spirit and matter, eternal truths and seasonal cycles. What emerges from all this isn't just history, it's a profound lesson about how spiritual truth grows richer through time. Like mighty trees, genuine spiritual insights don't reject their roots, but draw strength from them, reaching higher precisely because they're deeply grounded. When we honor these ancient origins, we don't diminish current meaning, but rather deepen our appreciation for how divine wisdom works through human culture and tradition. Our cherished Christian traditions stand like great cathedrals, built with stones quarried from many ancient sites. Each stone carries its own history, yet together they create something new and magnificent. This is how genuine spiritual truth works, not by erasing what came before, but by gathering wisdom across generations into ever more meaningful forms. As we reflect on these ancient origins, we discover they make our traditions more meaningful, not less. They remind us that we're part of an ancient human quest to understand divine mysteries, a quest that continues gathering wisdom as it flows through time like a mighty river fed by countless streams. If you found this exploration meaningful, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. By sharing these insights about how spiritual traditions evolve and deepen through time, we can help others appreciate the rich heritage behind their own faith practices. Click that notification bell to join us on future journeys exploring more fascinating connections between ancient wisdom and living faith. Until next time, may these insights enrich your own spiritual journey, helping you see how old and new, ancient and modern work together, creating ever deeper understanding of eternal truths.